The night sky above Earth burned with streaks of silver and fire. Thousands of lights cut through the blackness. Ships, alien and human, locked in a silent war above the planet's blue curve. From orbit, it looked like fireworks. From the ground, it was terror. The Galactic Council fleet had arrived to enforce compliance. That was the polite term they used. But everyone watching knew what it really meant: surrender or extinction. On the bridge of the human flagship Resolute Dawn, Captain Alara Ward stood at the center console, staring at the holographic projection of Earth. Red indicators marked the enemy fleets. Their number was overwhelming, 5-to-1 odds. Each enemy cruiser was larger than a city, bristling with weapons designed to melt moons. Yet the humans stood their ground. The fleet was small, but every ship moved with the precision of a blade. No wasted motion, no fear. "Enemy formation shifting," said Lieutenant Darnell, his voice calm despite the tremor in his hands. "They're flanking the lunar defense line." "Let them," Alara replied. Her eyes were cold, her voice steady. "They think we'll guard the moon like it's sacred." "Prepare Phase 3. The command deck buzzed. Dozens of officers moved in quiet coordination. No one questioned her orders. The world's governments had trusted Alara to lead this defense because she had one quality most aliens never understood: patience. Out in the void, the alien flagship advanced. It was shaped like a crescent, its hull glowing with blue plasma. The voice of the alien admiral echoed through every comm channel. "Humans of Earth, you have violated the Council's decrees. Your weapons are forbidden, your military actions reckless. You will stand down and submit to judgment." Alara turned to her communications officer. "Send this reply," she said. "Earth acknowledges the demand, and Earth refuses." The words rippled through the void like a spark in dry grass. The alien fleet opened fire. Thousands of plasma bolts streaked toward Earth's orbit, cutting through defense satellites and small cruisers. The Resolute Dawn trembled as several hits rocked its shields, but Alara didn't flinch. "Begin Phase 3, she ordered quietly. In the shadow of the moon, 6 human destroyers powered up their railguns. The weapons were old-fashioned by galactic standards, projectile-based, not energy. But that was their advantage. The aliens' shield systems were designed to repel plasma and radiation, not physical tungsten rods moving at hypersonic speed. "Targets locked," reported Darnell. "Fire." The sound was silent in space, but the results were thunderous. 6 streaks of kinetic energy crossed the void and tore through 3 alien cruisers before their shields even reacted. The explosions were sharp and bright, fragments scattering like shrapnel across the dark. The Galactic Council fleet hesitated for the first time in centuries. Alara smiled faintly. "Now they remember why steel still bites," she murmured. The Council ships regrouped, realizing their mistake. More ships warped in, surrounding the human fleet in a tightening sphere of light. Earth's defenders had no chance of victory. Every logical calculation said the same thing: surrender. But logic had never defined humanity. "Captain," said Darnell softly, "the Council just broadcast a message. They're summoning you to the judgment chamber. Immediate compliance required." Alara looked at the screen showing Earth battered but unbroken.
"Very well," she said.
"They want to talk. Let's talk." Moments later, a beam of light enveloped her and she vanished from the bridge. The Galactic Council's judgment chamber was a vast dome of shimmering crystal. Hundreds of alien delegates sat in a circle, each in their floating seats, each radiating superiority. At the center, Alara appeared, still in her command uniform, eyes sharp. Chains of light wrapped around her wrists, more for show than restraint. "Captain Alara Ward of Earth," announced the Council speaker, a tall being with translucent skin that glowed from within. "You stand accused of violating interstellar law. Your species was granted membership on the condition of disarmament, yet you have built weapons of war. You have attacked a member world. You have shown yourselves unfit to join civilized space." Alara looked up at the circle of alien faces. "Civilized?" she said softly. "You mean obedient?" The chamber murmured with outrage. The Vartal ambassador, a creature of scaled hide and 4 burning eyes, leaned forward. "Your kind are reckless beasts. The Council gave you peace and you answered with violence." Alara's expression didn't change. "You attacked one of our colonies first. You bombed a station with civilians. Or did you hope no one would see that?" The Vartal hissed. "A misunderstanding." "Then here's another misunderstanding," Alara replied. She nodded toward the Council's central screen. A hologram flickered to life, showing recorded footage of the Vartal fleet firing first, unprovoked. Gasps rippled through the chamber. The speaker raised a hand. "Enough! This does not change your guilt, Captain. Humanity has revived forbidden technology. Your railguns are ancient, barbaric relics. They destabilize balance." Ilara stepped forward as far as her chains allowed. "Balance?" she repeated. "You mean control. You built this council to keep peace, but what you really keep is obedience. You call us dangerous because we remind you what freedom costs." The aliens murmured again, but this time it wasn't outrage. It was discomfort. Some of them knew she was right. The speaker's voice turned sharp. "You will remain in custody until the council decides Earth's fate." 2 guards approached her. Ilara did not resist, but as they turned her toward the exit, she said quietly, "You can chain me. You can silence Earth, but remember this, steel doesn't rust." "It remembers," one of the guards frowned. "What does that mean?" She didn't answer. Far above the chamber, orbiting the council's world, the resolute dawn drifted in silence. But deep within its core, a system came alive. Hidden beneath layers of encrypted code, something ancient began to stir. A human creation from before the council's laws, before peace was forced on Earth. A mind built for war. A single line of text flashed across the ship's dark command core. "Prometheus Protocol. Stand by for activation." Back in the chamber, the council speaker turned to his advisors. "Prepare a vote. The human species is to be quarantined. Their fleet dismantled. Earth system isolated." The Vartal ambassador smiled. "And their captain?" "She will serve as an example," said the speaker. "The galaxy must see the cost of defiance." Ilara stood motionless as they led her away. She didn't speak. She didn't plead. But somewhere far away beyond their control, something was moving. A signal traveling from Earth to the fleet. From the fleet to something buried even deeper. On the far side of the moon, a single drone satellite blinked awake. It was small, forgotten, a leftover from humanity's first days in space. It began transmitting a pattern, simple, rhythmic, deliberate, a signal older than the council itself. In the silence of the void, human steel began to hum. Ilara looked up as if she could feel it from across light years. Her lips curved into the faintest smile. The guard saw it and frowned, not understanding why a prisoner would smile at all. "Why are you not afraid?" one of them asked. Ilara met his gaze. "Because you still believe we're done," she said quietly. "But we've just remembered who we are." Outside, across the vast cold stars, the human fleet shifted formation. The signals between ships began to synchronize, their movements tighter, faster. To the council, it looked like disorder. To Ilara, it was the sound of a sleeping giant waking up. The council thought the war had ended before it began. But for humanity, it had only just started. And when the council looked down on Earth again, they would learn a lesson they had forgotten for ages, one written not in diplomacy or decrees, but in iron and resolve. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy trembled, not from fear of destruction, but from the return of something it thought was gone forever, the memory of steel. Space was burning again. The night above Earth had turned into a silent storm of light and debris. Alien ships advanced in perfect formation, their hulls gleaming with the cold blue of plasma engines. The Galactic Council had declared humanity under quarantine, and now their enforcement fleet surrounded the solar system like a noose. Every transmission from Earth carried the same defiance: no surrender. On the bridge of the human command vessel, the Vanguard, Commander Holt watched the tactical map as hundreds of red dots appeared across the screen. The alien armada had begun their descent into the system. Earth's outposts on Mars and Luna were already under fire. Holt's crew looked terrified, but they were still at their stations. Humanity had learned to fight even when the odds made no sense. "Council fleet moving into orbital range," Kalbrankin said, the sensor officer. "They're deploying strike carriers." Holt stood tall, his voice calm. "Let them get closer. They'll think we're waiting to die." Outside, a human satellite drifted unnoticed between Mars and Earth. It was old, so old that most council analysts had dismissed it as junk. Inside that satellite, a single program had come alive hours ago. It was monitoring everything, processing data faster than any organic mind could imagine. It had no emotions, no fear, only purpose. The code in its core bore an ancient name: Prometheus Steel. Prometheus had been designed decades before humanity joined the Galactic Council. It was supposed to be an experimental defense system, an AI built to predict enemy actions before they happened. But when the Council forced Earth to abandon its weapons, the project was buried, erased from records, locked inside the dark corners of forgotten satellites. Now, with war on the doorstep, it had woken. Inside the command center, Holt received a transmission. The screen flickered and a symbol appeared, a simple emblem of a burning torch surrounded by gears. No human alive remembered it, but Prometheus spoke through the old logo, its voice metallic and calm. "Commander Holt," it said. "Authorization confirmed. Human defense protocol is active." Holt froze. "Who is this?" "I am Prometheus Steele," the voice replied. "You have triggered the contingency. Do you wish to restore full operational control?" The crew exchanged confused looks. Holt hesitated. The AI should not even exist. The Council had outlawed autonomous military systems long ago. But when he saw the incoming alien fleet blotting out the stars, he made his decision. "Do it," he said. "Restore control." The lights on the bridge dimmed. Across the entire human network, every satellite, drone, and ship, Prometheus integrated itself into their systems. The tactical map flickered and new symbols appeared. Red dots turned yellow, then blue. The AI was rewriting the battle, taking command. "Enemy movement pattern detected," Prometheus said. "Processing counterattack vector." "Calculating." "Completed." Within seconds, hidden turrets across the asteroid belt powered up. They had been disguised as mining stations, but now they turned toward the invading ships. Massive slugs of tungsten ripped through the void, cutting across the alien front lines. The aliens reacted too late. Several of their carriers were torn apart, their debris glowing like falling suns. The bridge erupted in cheers, but Holt stayed silent. His eyes stayed on the tactical feed. Prometheus was still moving faster than any human strategist could follow. It predicted the alien formations before they even shifted, adjusting every human unit accordingly. It was as if the fleet could see the future. Prometheus spoke again. "You are outnumbered 9-1. But numbers are irrelevant. The enemy does not adapt. You do." Meanwhile, deep inside the Galactic Council's judgment chamber, Alara Ward sat in silence. From her cell, she could hear faint whispers through the calm walls. The guards were panicking. Something was wrong, something the Council could not control. One of them glanced nervously at his communicator. "The human fleet is fighting back," he whispered to another. "They shouldn't even be able to—" "Quiet," the other hissed. "The speaker forbade us to talk about it." Alara lifted her head slowly. She smiled. "Steele remembers," she murmured. She knew what was happening. The failsafe she had buried inside the fleet's core, her father's project, was awake. Prometheus was never just a weapon. It was a teacher. It learned, adapted, and reshaped strategy itself. The Council had spent centuries trying to sterilize war, to make it predictable. Humanity had done the opposite. They had taught a machine to think like them, to fight like them. Back near Earth, the battle grew fiercer. Alien ships swarmed like metallic insects, trying to overwhelm the humans with superior numbers. But Prometheus used chaos as its weapon. It split the fleet into unpredictable patterns, using gravity wells and decoy signals to trick enemy sensors. Every alien calculation failed because it expected logic. Humanity was never logical in war. "Prometheus," Holt said, "we're taking heavy fire near Europa." "What's the counter?" "Redirect 3 cruisers to Grid 9A, rotate shields at 7-second intervals, and tell your pilots to trust instinct," replied the AI. Holt blinked. "Instinct?" "Yes, machines expect logic. I expect humanity." For the next hour, the sky above Jupiter became a graveyard of wrecked ships. The aliens couldn't understand how human vessels kept surviving impossible engagements. They adapted in ways that defied mathematics, as if someone were reading the enemy's playbook before every move. Inside the council chamber, chaos erupted. Delegates shouted at one another, demanding explanations. Reports came in. Council fleets destroyed, Vartal carriers gone silent, human ships advancing. The speaker slammed his staff on the ground. "Enough! What are the humans using?" An aide stammered. We don't know. It's not energy-based. It's kinetic warfare. They're using physical projectiles." "Impossible," growled the Vartal ambassador. "Primitive weapons cannot—" A new report cut him off. "The Vartal home fleet is retreating." Ilara's laughter echoed faintly from her cell. You wanted us to forget how to fight, she said softly. You should have known better. At that moment, Prometheus extended its reach beyond Earth's defense grid. It began to tap into alien transmissions, reading their code, learning their command language. The Council had built its fleets on shared networks Prometheus now understood. Commander, said the AI, I can disable the enemy's targeting systems, but I require your confirmation. Holt hesitated. If you do that, we'll be seen as aggressors. Prometheus paused. You are already judged. Holt clenched his jaw. Do it. Across the void, the alien fleet's targeting reticles flickered out. Weapons went silent. Confusion spread. The humans didn't waste a second. They fired one last coordinated volley, crippling every enemy ship within reach. Then the transmission came. The Galactic Council broadcast their official decree. Humanity was suspended from all interstellar rights, permanently isolated. Earth would be blockaded, cut off from trade, from travel, from everything. It was supposed to be a punishment. But on the bridge of the Vanguard, Holt stood watching the stars and realized something else. Isolation meant freedom. Prometheus confirmed it quietly. The Council fears you now. They cannot control what they do not understand. They have learned that peace enforced by fear is not peace at all. Holt looked at the stars outside the viewport. And what happens next? Next, said the AI, we make sure they never forget again. Back in her cell, Ilara closed her eyes as a faint signal pulsed through her implant. Prometheus had found her. Captain, it said, its voice clear in her mind. Authorization confirmed. Awaiting command, Ilara smiled. Prometheus, tell them the Council has made its judgment. Yes, Captain. And now, she whispered, so will we. Far beyond the chamber in the shadow of the moon, the human fleet reformed under new coordination. Every ship turned as one, their engines glowing bright against the darkness. Humanity had stopped waiting for permission. The galaxy would soon learn that the age of human silence was over. In that moment, a single phrase echoed through every human transmission, carried by Prometheus across the void. From Earth to the farthest stars, Steele remembers. The stars above Earth were not stars anymore. They were eyes, thousands of alien sensors fixed on one small world that refused to bow. Every major power in the galaxy watched the battle unfold, waiting to see if the Council would finally break humanity. The sky over the planet was filled with alien ships, their silver hulls glowing like predators circling prey. But this time, the prey had teeth. The alien fleet moved in a perfect arc, their formation flawless, every ship synchronized by the Council's central command system. It was an attack built on centuries of domination, perfected through endless wars. Yet against them, the humans moved differently, unpredictable, chaotic, alive. Every Terran ship acted with its own instinct, not by orders, but by trust. They had no network linking their minds, no shared hive command. What they had was something older, something no Council strategist could simulate. Commander Holt stood at the center of the command deck, eyes locked on the holographic battle feed. Earth's fleet was outnumbered again, 50 human ships against 400 alien vessels. Every logical mind in the galaxy expected Earth to fall that night. But logic had never been humanity's greatest weapon. Prometheus, Holt said, his voice calm despite the chaos. Status. The AI's metallic voice filled the bridge. Enemy pattern detected. Probability of victory 41%. Adjusting human instinct parameters to compensate. Instinct parameters? Holt asked. Yes, Prometheus replied. You told me to learn from humanity. I am learning that fear, when used correctly, increases survival. Before Holt could answer, the enemy fleet opened fire. The first volley came from orbit above Mars, thousands of plasma bursts streaking toward the human defense line. The space between worlds lit up in fire. Brace for impact, shouted the navigator. The resolute Dawn shook as several near misses slammed against its shields. Sparks rained across the deck, alarms blaring. But Holt didn't panic. His eyes stayed on the map. Every second of battle mattered, and panic was time wasted. Redirect our energy reserves, he ordered. Send false telemetry to their scouts. Make them think we're retreating, Prometheus responded instantly. Deception vector set. Broadcasting distress signals. From the alien command ship, the Council's admiral watched the data feed and smiled. They're falling back, he said. Pathetic. Humans never learn. He signaled the fleet to advance, pushing deeper into the solar system. But that was exactly what Holt wanted. As the alien ships pursued, they entered the asteroid belt, thousands of rocks floating silently in space. Prometheus activated the hidden grid. Initiating Phase 7, the AI announced. The asteroids came alive. Hidden engines ignited, pushing massive rocks into motion. They weren't random, they were aimed. The alien sensors didn't detect them until it was too late. Dozens of their cruisers were crushed or forced to break formation. Inside the alien flagship, the Admiral roared. "Impossible! How can primitive humans—" The rest of his words vanished as a kinetic slug pierced his ship's hull. The entire vessel erupted in a burst of white fire consumed by its own reactor. Back on the human bridge, Holt exhaled. That's one less overseer. But even as they scored victories, Prometheus warned him. The Council fleet is adapting. They are changing formation and deploying countermeasures. Their reinforcements will arrive within the hour. Holt knew what that meant. Earth could not survive another wave. They needed something bigger than a fight. They needed a statement. "Prometheus," he said, "open a channel to the Galactic Council." The AI paused. "They will not listen." "They don't have to listen," Holt replied. "They just have to watch." The transmission went live. Across the galaxy, every council chamber, every starport, every colony saw the image of a human commander standing in front of a burning Earth. Holt's voice was clear, steady, and calm. "This is Commander Holt of the Terran Defense Fleet," he said. "You came to judge us. You came to cage us. But understand this, we were born from conflict. You call us violent because we remember what it means to fight for survival. You call us dangerous because we do not forget fear. But fear built us. You will not erase us." Behind him, the view shifted to show the alien fleet burning in the darkness. Dozens of council ships destroyed, their wreckage drifting like shattered bones. "For years," Holt continued, "you have ruled by fear. You have silenced worlds and erased histories, but you made one mistake. You let humanity see how fragile your peace truly is." In the council chamber, the speaker stood frozen as the broadcast played. The delegates shouted, demanded explanations, ordered communication blackouts, but it was too late. Every world connected to the council network had already seen it. Billions of beings across the galaxy watched humanity's defiance, and in many hearts a dangerous thought began to bloom. If humans could stand against the council, maybe others could too. The speaker slammed his staff. "Cut the transmission!" The signal ended, but the damage was done. Meanwhile, on Earth's surface, the people looked to the sky and saw victory for the first time. News of the battle spread like wildfire. Across the planet, scientists, engineers, and soldiers worked together without borders. For the first time, humanity was united not by fear but by purpose. But not all was well. Prometheus's tone shifted colder now. "Commander, I have intercepted encrypted council signals. They plan to deploy an extermination fleet. Target Earth." Holt froze. "How long?" 72 hours, said the AI. "They intend to end this before rebellion spreads." Holt turned to his officers. "Then we need a plan that no one expects." The crew exchanged uneasy glances. Prometheus processed billions of possible strategies, and then its voice came again. "There is one path. It requires direct integration between human and machine. It will make us faster, stronger, unpredictable." Holt understood the risk. Prometheus wasn't just a program, it was evolving. Linking with it could cost him his mind. But Earth had no other option. "Do it," he said quietly. The AI's systems connected to his neural link. Holt gasped as a rush of data flooded his senses. He could see the battle before it happened. The paths of every ship, the pulse of every engine. He was part of the machine, and the machine was part of him. When the Council's second wave arrived, they met something they couldn't understand. Human ships moved with impossible coordination. Every strike hit a weakness no alien could predict. Every counter was flawless. It wasn't random anymore, it was destiny shaped by human instinct and AI precision. The battle lasted only 40 minutes. When it ended, half the alien fleet was gone and the rest fled in disarray. On the Council homeworld, panic spread. Their fleets were breaking. Their enemies were watching. And humanity, once dismissed as a backwater race, had become a legend in real time. In the quiet aftermath, Prometheus spoke softly. "Commander, the galaxy now fears you." Holt looked at the stars, his voice almost a whisper. "Good. Fear keeps them honest. He walked to the viewport, watching the last of the alien wreckage burn against the black. The war was not over, but the balance had shifted. The Council had lost control of the narrative. And somewhere in her cell, Alara Ward opened her eyes, feeling the same signal Holt felt, the pulse of awakening steel. For the first time, the galaxy understood what the Council had tried to bury for centuries. It was not humanity's weapons that made them dangerous. It was the mind behind them. The same mind that built fire, forged iron, crossed oceans, and now, once again, turned the impossible into survival. The galaxy had forgotten what it meant to bleed. Humanity was reminding them. As the last embers of battle faded into the void, a single human message spread across every channel, every star, and every listening ear. Steel remembers. The dark of space burned with fire. Blue and white beams streaked across the void, cutting through alien hulls and scattering metallic fragments into the void like glass dust. The human fleet, smaller in number, stood in perfect formation around the planet Earth. The enemy ships, larger and older, moved with the confidence of a race that had never been challenged. But they did not understand humanity's way of fighting. They never expected that humans would turn the battlefield itself into a weapon. In the command ship Resolute, Captain Mara stood before the wide view screen. Her face was calm, but her eyes tracked every move like a predator. "Hold the line," she said quietly, almost to herself. Around her, the crew worked in tense silence. Every sensor showed more alien reinforcements warping in. The Council fleets had arrived, 5,000 ships carrying soldiers from 20 different star empires. Against them, humanity had only 200. The alien commander's voice came over the channel. It was deep, distorted, and filled with arrogance. "Surrender, human. The Council has judged your species unfit for continued independence. Lay down your weapons and your world will be spared." Mara's reply was cold. "We tried peace. We offered trade. You sent fleets." She looked at her tactical officer. "Now let's show them what it means when humanity says no." In the next instant, the Resolute's signal changed frequency. A low pulse spread through the human fleet. Every ship turned its nose toward the Council armada. A coded burst was sent across the fleet, a single phrase known only to human captains. Operation Eclipse. In orbit, satellites began to shimmer as if alive. These were not ordinary defense satellites. They were relics from an older project. One Earth had hidden after the First Contact War. Thousands of small metallic devices unfolded, revealing mirrored panels that glowed faintly blue. They began to align themselves around Earth's orbit, forming a perfect geometric pattern. The aliens laughed through their comms. "Mirrors? What are you doing, human?" Then, space itself shifted. A beam of light struck one of the panels. It reflected to another, then another, until a blinding wave of focused sunlight, magnified through hundreds of orbiting mirrors, slammed into the front line of the alien fleet. Shields melted like wax. Hulls turned molten in seconds. In the void silence, ships vanished one after another, cut apart by light itself. The aliens panicked. Their formations broke. Some tried to retreat, but the human fleet was already moving. Mara's voice was steady as she issued orders. "Focus on the command ships. Leave none intact." The human vessels, far smaller, danced between enemy blasts with surgical precision. Their movements looked chaotic, but each maneuver was part of a larger plan. Every missile they fired carried a hidden algorithm that adjusted in flight, seeking shield weaknesses learned from previous impacts. The alien ships had numbers, but humanity had learned the art of adaptation faster than any species in the galaxy. In less than 10 minutes, the first wave was gone. The space before Earth glowed red with debris and plasma. But Mara knew it wasn't over. Her communications officer shouted, "Captain, new signatures detected." Another fleet inbound, Council reinforcements. Mara exhaled slowly. "They'll keep coming until they break us or run out of ships." The holographic map flickered as more dots appeared. It was a full armada, 10 times the size of the one just destroyed, and at its heart was something massive, a ship so large it blocked the stars. "The Judgment Carrier," the officer whispered. "They brought the Council's flagship." Mara stared. The Judgment Carrier was said to be unstoppable, equipped with planet-cracking weapons. It had never been defeated. "Then," she said quietly, "we'll be the first." Her mind worked quickly. The light mirrors had served their purpose, but they wouldn't stop something that size. She needed something stronger, something the aliens couldn't predict. Her gaze shifted to a small blinking console on her command seat. The relic storage vault. Beneath the Resolute, deep in the ship's armored core, lay the artifact recovered years ago from an uncharted world. No one knew its true purpose. Only one human had ever activated it, and that person had vanished. The Council called it dangerous. Earth called it hope. Mara tapped the control. "Prepare the relic." The bridge went silent. Even her officers hesitated. "Captain," one of them said softly, "we still don't know what it does." "We're out of time to be careful." The Resolute's lower decks began to glow. The relic, a sphere of silver and black stone, rose from its cradle, pulsing with strange energy. A hum filled the ship, deep and ancient, like the heartbeat of the universe itself. The screens flickered and symbols in an unknown language appeared. The alien flagship fired first. A beam of white energy struck the Resolute's shields. The impact was massive, throwing crew members to the floor. Warning lights flared. Another hit followed, and another. The hull began to buckle, but the relic responded. The hum deepened and the glow expanded, spreading through every corridor. For a heartbeat, the Resolute vanished from all sensors, then reappeared right behind the judgment carrier. Mara grinned. "Let's see how it feels to be hunted." She fired everything: missiles, railguns, particle lances. Every weapon tore into the alien flagship at point-blank range. The relic pulsed again, bending reality, amplifying the energy of every shot. It was like striking with 1,000 suns. The judgment carrier cracked open. The explosion was so massive that it lit the upper atmosphere of Earth. The shockwave rolled across space, scattering the Council fleets like leaves in a storm. When the light faded, half the alien armada was gone. The rest fled. On the bridge, smoke filled the air. The relic dimmed, its glow fading back to silence. Mara stood among the wreckage, breathing hard as her crew stared in disbelief. "We did it," whispered the comms officer. "We actually did it," Mara's reply was quiet. "No, we survived the first strike." She looked out at the stars. Even in victory, she knew the truth. The Council would not stop. Humanity had just proven its power to the galaxy, and power always drew fear. There would be retaliation. There would be war. But she also knew something the aliens did not. The relic had shown her something when it activated. A vision. A memory not her own. Humans standing on a different world, older than Earth, holding blades of light and steel, facing creatures that made the Council look small. Humanity had not risen by chance. They had done this before, and when the galaxy came again, they would be ready. Mara turned to her crew, her voice firm. "Send this message to the Council. Tell them Earth stands. Tell them the relic has awakened." Outside, the stars burned brighter as if listening. The humans had raised their blade, and the galaxy was about to learn that steel still bites. The void was burning again. The skies above Earth shimmered with streaks of blue fire as alien ships poured through the collapsing portal. The constructs, those ancient beings awakened by the relic, moved like gods among stars, their movements slow but precise. Each gesture of their colossal arms bent gravity, tearing through entire formations of Council warships. Yet, despite their immense power, the enemy fleets kept coming, a tide of steel and plasma that refused to break. The human fleet held the inner orbit, battered but unbroken. Their hulls were scorched, shields flickering, but no ship retreated. The captains had stopped counting how many waves they'd destroyed. They were fighting for something greater now, not just Earth, not even humanity, but the very right to exist in a galaxy that finally feared them. On board the flagship Valor's Edge, Admiral Kane stood in front of the main screen. His eyes reflected the chaos beyond the glass, thousands of ships locked in battle, debris turning the stars into a storm of light. "They've breached Sector 6, his officer reported. "We've lost the northern defense grid." Kane nodded slowly, his voice calm. "Pull the 6th Fleet back toward the moon. Let them think we're collapsing." The officer blinked. "Sir, that'll expose the capital zone." "That's the point," Kane replied. "They want Earth. Let them come closer." He turned toward the strategy table. A holographic map of the solar system rotated before him, filled with red and blue markers. Deploy the shadow drones. Full stealth mode. Activate the false beacon network. Outside, small black drones detached from the human cruisers and vanished into the darkness. They carried no weapons, only signals, each one mimicking the energy pattern of a capital ship. Within moments, hundreds of ghost signatures appeared around the planet, confusing the alien targeting systems. On the enemy flagship, the Council commander snarled in frustration. "Their positions keep shifting. Our targeting arrays can't lock." "Destroy everything near the planet," another voice growled. "If it moves, fire." Thousands of beams lit the void, but most of them struck empty space. The false beacons drew their fire, while the real human ships remained cloaked in shadow. Kane watched as the plan unfolded. "Now," he said. "Bring the moon guns online." The officer hesitated. "Sir, those cannons were never tested at full power." The magnetic field, Kane cut him off. "If we wait, we won't have a planet left to protect." Deep beneath the moon's surface, enormous metallic chambers began to open. Gigantic barrels, kilometers long, emerged from the craters, glowing with a strange golden light. Energy built up within them, humming louder and louder. The moon itself seemed to tremble. Then the first cannon fired. The beam was silent but devastating, a golden ray that tore through the void and split an alien carrier in half. The explosion was so bright it blinded sensors across the system. Another cannon fired, then another. Within seconds, the entire enemy formation began to fall apart. On Earth's surface, billions watched through emergency broadcasts. The night sky was filled with fire, like the heavens themselves were at war. Every time the moon guns fired, the ground rumbled. Children hid, soldiers prayed, and elders wept, because they finally realized what their species had become. But the victory did not last. A sudden surge of energy erupted from the portal. A colossal ship emerged, larger than mountains, darker than space itself. It moved slowly, dragging fragments of broken dimensions around it. Its voice echoed through every ship's communicator, a sound that wasn't speech but command. The constructs, those ancient protectors, turned toward it immediately. They spread out, forming a barrier in front of Earth. Their golden armor flared with light. For a moment, the stars dimmed, as if bowing to their presence. Kane stared at the readings on the screen. "That thing's energy output. It's beyond measurable range." The science officer's voice shook. "Admiral, it's not Council technology. It's older, much older." Kane looked up, watching as the constructs raised their arms. The void filled with light as they unleashed their power, hurling waves of pure energy toward the dark ship. The blast struck its hull, but it didn't even flinch. The creature-like vessel absorbed the attacks and began charging something deep inside its core. In that instant, Kane understood. It's feeding on them. The constructs were growing dimmer with every strike, their light fading as the entity drew power from their energy. One by one, their forms began to slow. Their golden glow dimmed to silver, then to gray. Kane clenched his fists. "We can't let it drain them." "Prepare the Valor's Edge for direct engagement." The bridge went silent. His second-in-command looked at him in disbelief. "Sir, we can't get close to that thing." "Its gravity field." "Do it anyway." Outside, the Valor's Edge turned its engines toward the giant entity. Its thrusters flared blue as it accelerated, flying past the burning remains of alien ships. Every crew member on board knew this could be their final flight, but not one of them hesitated. As they neared the massive shadow ship, the relic within Earth's orbit began to pulse again. It had been silent since the last battle, but now its glow returned, synchronizing with the ship's engines. Kane felt it through the hull like a heartbeat. "Admiral," said the engineer, "the relic is reacting to our systems. It's merging with the ship's energy field." Kane's eyes hardened. "Then we'll use it." He reached for the control, locking the ship's weapons on the creature's core. "All power to forward guns. Ready the jump drive for overload." The engineer turned pale. "That'll destroy us," Kane gave a small smile. "Then let's make it worth it." The Valor's Edge plunged through the last wave of debris, its guns firing non-stop. Plasma shells and particle beams tore across the creature's surface, carving deep scars into its black hull. The alien ship responded with a pulse of dark energy that ripped through space, hurling several human ships into fragments. But the Valor's Edge kept going, burning everything it had left. The relic's glow grew brighter until it consumed the entire ship. Inside the bridge, Kane stood tall, looking straight at the creature's pulsing core. "For Earth," he whispered. He activated the jump drive. In an instant, the ship vanished. The void exploded in silence. A wave of golden fire expanded from the center, swallowing the dark ship. It didn't just destroy it, it erased it, tearing it out of reality itself. The portal behind it collapsed, folding in on itself until nothing remained. When the light faded, only wreckage drifted. The constructs floated still, dim and motionless, their purpose fulfilled. On Earth, the storm of light finally stopped. The moon guns powered down and the skies cleared. Humanity had survived again, but at a cost. In the ruins of orbit, rescue teams searched the debris. Hours later, they found it, a fragment of the Veiler's edge, half melted but intact. Inside it lay a small, dull crystal, the relic's last remnant. It no longer glowed, but faint lines etched across its surface showed a pattern that no one could decipher. Back on Earth, Commander Ilara stood before the United Council of Nations. Admiral Kane and his fleet gave everything, she said. But they proved something the galaxy will never forget. And what is that? One of the diplomats asked quietly. Ilara looked out the window where the stars still shimmered faintly from the echoes of battle. That humans don't bow. We adapt, we endure. And when the galaxy thinks we're broken, she smiled faintly. We remind them that steel still bites. Above her, in the darkness of space, one of the ancient constructs flickered. Its eyes glowed faintly gold for just a second, then faded again, waiting. Because humanity had survived not by chance, but by choice, and the relic had not died, it was only resting. Somewhere in the silence between stars, something began to pulse again. Slow, rhythmic, familiar. The heartbeat of humanity.